What's up, guys? This is Teddy. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This video, we're going to be talking about arrays in Java. So arrays are important because previously we were just creating variables like we have right here. You create a variable, you call it whatever you want, you assign it a type, and whenever you want to put something inside of your variable, you just give it one value. And that is the drawback of variables and where arrays come in, because we need to be able to store more than one value at a time in our programming, because it makes sense. It would be sort of like having a briefcase of data. If we didn't have a briefcase, or we didn't have some type of container to store our data, our variables would be strewn all over the place and it would become very cumbersome to keep up with them. So we have these data structures in order to keep track of them. And the simplest and the easiest to understand is going to be an array. And you may be thinking, well, Teddy, come on, let's just put more variables inside of our Pokemons. Let's put a 20, come on, let's have a little fun. Let's put a 420 in there. And the Java compiler is going to give you an error because it's going to say you can't do that. And you can't do that because in programming, you have to be very explicit about what you want. And when we just have this int and we just have a regular variable, we're not being explicit. We're not telling it we want an array. So how do we tell the compiler that we want an array? It's actually not as simple as you would think it is, but it's very important to understand the fundamental building blocks. So just please bear with me because this is very important. The way that you do it is you initialize it. And we will go ahead and we will get rid of this. We no longer want this because we want to initialize more than one. So we go over here, and I'm just going to get rid of this. I'm going to go over here, delete that. And we create our very first array. This is exactly how we do it. And I will just go through and break down each step each place one by one and explain to you what this means. So what in the hell is this, Teddy? Like, this makes no sense. Essentially, this bracket right here means array. And whenever you have an int, you are declaring a type of an integer array, meaning that you can only numbers can be in this array. If you try to put a string in it, it's going to give you an error. If you try to put an object in it, it's going to give you an error. Anything but an integer, you could probably put a double in there because it'll convert it, but that's besides the point. But anything besides an integer, you are going to get an error. So what is this? This is the name that you give it. This is the variable name. You could call this anything that you want to. You could call it Pokemon. You could call it Squirtle. You could call it Pikachu. Literally, you could call it anything that you want. This is the name that you actually give this array. Next place, the equal sign kind of goes without saying. We've talked about equal sign. It's assignment. This is going to put this value into memory. What really trips people up is this part right here. So what is this new keyword, and why do we need to have a new? We have a new keyword because this is a non-primitive data type, and this is what's called newing up places in memory. You are creating an array. It's not that important to know exactly what new is doing at this point in your programming career. It's more important that you just realize that this is initializing it. This is actually what's creating it, and this is what's putting this place in memory, sometimes referred to as newing up. And the reason why we have to new it up is because it's a non-primitive data type. And this may not make a lot of sense now, but as you go on, this non-primitive and this newing up of non-primitives will make more sense. So why do we have this part again? Well, this part is important because arrays are fixed. They are a fixed data structure, And it being a fixed data structure is one of the reasons that we don't really use them that much. A good analogy of what an array is a park bench. So if me and you were to sit next to each other on a park bench, it is static, it is fixed. There are places in memory that are right next to each other. And in memory, if you are going to new up this array, these data structures or these numbers or these integers that you're going to put in are going to exist right next to each other in this form. So another very important aspect to really realize about arrays is that they occur on a zero indexed basis. So if you want to initialize an array, what you do is you could do this right here, but there's no places in memory. So what you do when you create an array is you assign it a number of places. And what is going to happen is that this park bench that me and you are going to sit on is going to be assigned this many places all the way to 99, just ... 99. Now you may be wondering, well, Teddy, why is it going to be 99? It's going to be 99 because, once again, it's zero index based. And by the time that you get done counting, or by the time that the computer actually gets done creating all those values, you're going to have an array here with 99 values in memory. So how do you actually assign values to places in memory? That's what we're going to do, and that's what we're actually going to start coding up here. And this is what we're actually going to start taking a look at and actually putting the fingers to the keyboard and actually coding. So let's go in here and let's actually create our own array, just like we did on the whiteboard. We're going to go in here and we're going to go ahead and we're going to new up an array with 100 values. And then we're going to go into the debugger and we're going to actually look at what we created. So we go in here, we go values. Now what we want to do is we're going to put a breakpoint right here, and then we're going to run with this little bug symbol up here. So just go ahead, click that bug symbol. And what's going to happen is you can actually see the array that we created in memory if you go down here and you look at it. And as you can see, we have an array with all these empty values in it. And each value is initialized to 0. And if you look right here, what do you know? We have 99 places in memory, even though we initialized an array with 100 values. So let's go ahead in here and let's actually put some values into it. So we've already initialized it. Now we just need to put values inside of it. And the way that we do that is very easy. Go to the place that you want, go to 0. That's how you actually access an array. And then we're going to put 420 in there just because. No, just a random number. We're going to put 420 in there and we're going to see what exactly happens. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to run debug again. And if you look at it, that 0 place is now populated with our totally random number that makes no sense, 420. So what do we do when we want to actually put another value in there? It's the same exact process. It's very simple. You access the value based on these brackets. It's called bracket notation. That's how we manipulate arrays. That's how we actually go into arrays. And that's how we actually create and manipulate, update, whatever you want to call it, our arrays. So let's just have a nice little trick question right here. What if we have a 100 and then we put another 420 in there? Just put 420 everything. So what is going to happen? Let's see. Would you look at that? And this is very common once you guys actually start getting into solving algorithms, and once you start getting into for loops, you will see this index 100 out of bounds length 100 thing. And that is because you're trying to access a place in memory that doesn't exist. Because remember, arrays are 0 index based. If we had a 1 right there, that would actually work. But because they're 0 index based, it's not going to be able to insert that there because it doesn't actually exist. And you may be wondering, well, Teddy, that seems kind of stupid to just have an array of integers. What? How do we make it so that we could put anything into it? Well, there's a way to do that, but it's very dangerous. But I'm going to show it to you anyway because it's fun to be bad, and do not do this in a production environment because you will get yelled at. And the way that we do that is we have an object. Don't do this. Never do this in real life. This is super dangerous and you will probably get yelled at. What you have is what's called an object type. And an object type is anything. It's the Ditto. Remember Ditto in Pokemon? It's the pink blob that can literally change into anything. The object type is almost like the Ditto of programming. It can be anything, but at the same time, it's super dangerous to do this because it disables the type checking. Essentially, you can put anything in there, and if we go there, we can actually do the same. We can do this in here. So watch this. So you go object, and now you can literally put anything in there that you want. So we can put Squirtle, and we could also put just put a random number in there, and we'll change this to 1 so that it doesn't break. And then let's go ahead and run it, and we'll see what exactly happens. And if you look, we now have a Squirtle in there, and it's totally screwed up our array. Once again, do not do this unless you have a specific reason to, or your boss tells you to, because if you look, it's totally screwed up our array. But I just kind of wanted to show you guys that because it's fun and it's kind of funny to do weird stuff like that. But anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed this. If you did, make sure to hit that like button, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And as always, thank you for watching.